Play and Trade Guitars is giving away this Gibson Custom Shop Les Paul to one of you. How to enter? Subscribe to Play and Trade Guitars on YouTube, and we'll give it away when we hit 50,000 subscribers.
I'm John, Play and Trade Guitars.
Tim, nice
this
to meet
is
you.
Zach.
Yeah, what's going on, Tim? I'm Zach.
Yeah, it's just on your left here. There's a table in there. So
Okay, sweet.
put whatever you need on the
Turn the light on.
Typically when I do a tour or something for folks who haven't been here or don't really know the Reverend story, I started here because the guitar up top there. Allow me to slip into Reverend spiel mode.
Sure.
Reverend Guitars was started in 1997 by Joe Naylor in the back of a bike shop in Detroit. He went to Luther School and was a tech and did a lot of setups for guitarists in the Detroit area who played a lot of like the 60s silver tones and Dan Electros and kind of goofy, weird guitars that weren't really made to be stage players. He found what he liked from those things and, you know, how things were done with those rosewood bridges and the goofy stuff that went on with them. Ways to make them really rock solid and make them, you know, more of a workhorse guitar. So that top guitar was essentially what Reverends were for like the first 6 or 7 years. We call these our phenolic guitars because this is a phenolic material. It's like a Formica countertop if you're like in like a 1950s kitchen.
Oh, sure.
So that's material on the top and back. The middle section, this white bit, is an injection molded plastic, which in the Detroit area at the time was a lot easier to manufacture because it's the same type of thing they use on spacers and engine parts. So there were a bunch of machine shops and stuff that would be able to create that. So that's just like kind of a ring on the outside. They would put a piece of carina down the center. You had a couple different companies that would make necks for us. You piece everything together, it's very modular. But that was the main design for years. This particular guitar was Ron Ashton's from the Stooges. And this was also the first use of the bass contour control, which is on our guitars all over now. We've had a chain of you know, mom and pop dealers. We've been in the other big boxes, you know, Musician's Friend, Guitar Center, all that.
Yeah.
And sort of as that progression happened, so we had the USA-made guitars. We had a couple different manufacturers of necks, and at one point, one of those manufacturers was Mir Music in South Korea. The injection molded plastic center ring, the mold for that broke, and at that point, being a smaller company, it would have cost way too much to replace.
Oh, interesting.
Trying to pivot, Joe had some wood body ideas. He talked to Mir, and that's pretty much where we've been since.
So in terms of collector's items, I mean, the original ones, the mold is broken. There's not any more coming.
No. and that's been that way for a while. Why don't we move into the warehouse?
Sure, let's check that out.
Sounds good. Give you the next step here. This is our artist guitar. So whenever our artists come in, they'll sign. So you know, you got Reeves Gabrels there, Billy Corgan's on here somewhere, Mike Watt up on the headstock.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, everybody's been in here, signed off on stuff.
Very cool.
Watch your step here. So this is the warehouse, and the typical way things would work, we'd get one shipment a month from our factory, and that used to be 300 to 400 guitars. As you've discussed, huge boom in the guitar market. We basically doubled our production from our factory over the last like year and a half.
Yeah.
And we're still sold out of everything. Like I said, we normally get now 600 guitars in a single shipment. Because the shipments from ports have been, you know, timed weird and everything, we actually got 2 at the same time.
Oh.
So what you see on the shelves is from one shipment, and then these 4 packs that you see over here are from the next.
Oh, I see.
So typically we'll line them all up here, huge stacks of boxes, and myself and at least 2 of our other techs. We open up the 4-pack, 4 guitars to a box.
Okay.
We'll open them up, and we have 2 benches going, and this is where we do our first round of quality control. So we look at every single guitar that comes into the building, assign it a serial number. Once we're through all of that, myself and a couple techs will assign guitars to the invoices and the back orders that we have. So we get a big stack of invoices to work with, and just go around and say, all right, you know, Wildwood needs 3 double Asian OGs, grab the tags, we'll get them on an invoice, and then they go back here. And it's typically Chris, who is our warehouse manager. He'll pull stuff and set them on the racks out here. So this is all the stuff that's going to be worked on today. They go to these first 2 benches here. So you have one of our techs, Kelsey, here, and then I think John's on lunch right now, but that's his bench on the end. Those guys start the process. You have Doug and Brian here. So at the end of the whole process, on the back of the headstock, with a paint pen, our techs will sign off and write the serial number on the headstock. So their signature, their initials, and the serial number. So
Very cool.
Brian is BGB, Doug is RDW, and then the bench all the way against the wall over there is Zach Green, who's been our head tech since the beginning, basically. So
Here they are in the flesh.
yeah, Guitars with ZSG. There he is.
That's Zach,
yeah.
yeah.
Take a look around here. We're just gonna tap on the glass here.
How you doing?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
We're with Plane Tray Guitars. We're just checking out the operation, and
Yeah.
it's impressive. And that is sharp right there.
Yeah. So there's one of those Greg.
So that's brand
Greg
new.
models. That's the Gristle 90, Midnight Black, and there's another phenolic model up on the wall there.
That would be my
the
choice.
early days.
If I was taking one home,
They're sharp.
those are
Yeah.
so cool. That
Yeah.
midnight black.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, these
Incredible.
guys kind of do the whole thing. They'll check wiring and make sure you don't have any scratchy pots or anything, and do a setup that involves filing nut slots, checking string and pickup heights, intonation, the whole thing, fret edges, what have you, and then they'll go up on the rack here, and depending on which way it's facing, where the cards are and everything, these guys have a system to know who needs to sign off on what, or if they're ready to go. Typically, if they're on this side, Chris here will
How you
pack
doing?
everything up and get them shipped out. There's John, another one of our techs. So yeah, I think
It's a beautiful
I think
wall.
this side is all completed guitars for the most part.
This over here is where we charge up all the Fishman guitars
Oh, yeah?
as they come through. But yeah, those racks on the NAMM display are just modified versions of these that are a little bit prettier.
yeah, this is looking familiar. Something like this, huh?
Yep.
Yep. Fantastic look, though.
This is the Mike Watt Power version 2 bass, the Rio Grande Pitbull pickup in the neck, and this is really cool. This is kind of we call this the triple P. So on a 3-way switch, you have these 2 coils activated in this position, and these 2 coils activated in the middle position. So it changes the low end response of the bass when you toggle between the 2. And then position 3 is the Pitbull, the Rio Grande pickup up by itself, which has a completely different sound. And it's really, really versatile bass. And right up there with Mike Watt, one of my heroes.
So cool.
Easily.
And this has been here the whole time at this bench, right?
These 2 benches go back a long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
I could just sit here all day and snoop at people's benches.
I bet you didn't catch that one, John.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much to look at on this plane. I haven't moved to this plane yet,
Zach Green's artwork is very prolific, and it grows. I notice things that I haven't seen before all the time around here. It's interesting because I've been working for Reverend in one capacity or another since 1999. Mm-hmm. So 2022, next year, is going to be our 25th anniversary, and Joe founded the company in 97. And I bought one used in 98 and started hanging around with Joe because he was a local Detroit guy and I was living in the Detroit area at the time. And I basically stalked him and harassed him until he gave me a job. And it took like 6 years, but I got it done. And throughout the last 25 years, the whole thing has had a lot of ups and downs. Mm-hmm. The original guitars got kind of popular for a little while, but then they sort of fell out of fashion because I think they were a little bit outside the box for the markets that we wanted to go into. Mm-hmm. And when Joe designed the original guitars, the Jetstream and the Charger and the Warhawk and stuff, and we launched those guitars in 2004, 2005, it really started to take off. And then it seemed like every couple of years there was like a dealer that came on or an artist that came on that changed the way people looked at us. You know, obviously Corgan was big for us. I mean, Joe made Billy guitars in the late 90s. He made him a couple of interesting guitars, and he toured with them, but it wasn't really an official thing. But then we cultivated that relationship, and it's almost like that relationship grew as our company grew. Bringing on Pete Anderson was huge. The Rick Vito signature models were huge. All of the stuff we did at the beginning, I mean, these people still work with us. Rick has been playing Reverends for 24 years. You know, that's amazing to me, right? Yeah, it says something, right? Yeah. And then Pete brought in an audience that we were trying to get for a long time, this sort of, you know, this blue sky audience that we were focused on when we did the original early guitars. And then Pete sort of legitimized us to that audience a little bit. And then when Reeves came on, it legitimized us to a wider audience of like rock fans and players, you know what I mean? Because players know who Reeves is. Yeah. And that seems to be the common thread with all of these guys, you know, like if you look at our artist roster, I mean, Vito is the guy that all the other guitar players look to as like the king of the slide players. And Reeves, of course, with his history with David Bowie, I mean, Tin Machine like electrified Bowie's career again, and Reeves gets a lot of the credit for that. But he, you know, he's more of a household name now than he ever has been in his career. Yeah. But I mean, he was the guy that everybody looks up to. Yeah. And also Anderson. You know, I mean, Dwight Yoakam is the famous guy, but Anderson is the guy who is with the guy that made all of that happen. And so in the aughts, these things started to sort of come together for us in the late 2000s. And then Penny and I bought the company from Joe in 2010, January 1st of 2010. And basically that stemmed from, Joe is a brilliant guitar designer. And the more the company grew, the less time Joe could spend designing guitars. Payroll and taxes and logistics and all the nonsense that goes, all the things that you have to do when you're not designing guitars. And as the company got big, his focus kept getting pulled away from what he really wanted to do. And Penny and I were lucky enough to be able to work out an arrangement with Joe where we bought the company from him and then hired him back to be our designer. And so that was sort of another piece of the puzzle then, where Joe was able to really concentrate on working with the artists and working on guitar designs. And then, I mean, very shortly after that happened, we had a new Reeves model. We had the basses came back. We had the new Rick Vito classic model, and then the Pete Anderson East Siders came along, and all of a sudden Joe started getting really prolific because he didn't have all of this stuff hanging over his head. So that helped us grow it a little bit more.
New designs.
Right. Originally, it was just a couple of different body styles. And then as we started going forward and working with a wider audience and a larger swath of artists, you know, there's things like the Pete Anderson thing. This is my East Sider S that I've been gigging out with for 12 years, and I'm sure it looks like it. But this is one of the prototypes, and this guitar got damaged on the way to a dealer. It was out of the first production run. And when it came back to me, I just decided to take it to a gig. And I never really thought of myself as a guy who would play a guitar like this. And I took it to a gig and was like, this is what I've been looking for that particular gig. This was the guitar that I was looking for. And I didn't even realize it until I took it out and played it live, and now it's been to a lot of shows. But this, originally, Pete was going to do this guitar on our Charger platform. And then the more Pete thought about it, the more Pete was like, you know, I played T-style guitars and Dwight Yoakam for all these years, and that's what people are used to looking at when they look at me. And he just wanted a slab body like this. And then I dragged Naylor into it kicking and screaming. You know, because Joe's like, I don't design. Joe's like, that's not what I do. We don't do this. And then once I got Joe talked into it, and then he was like, well, if we're going to do that, then I'm going to make the best damn T-style guitar that you can get your hands on. And so there's a lot of things about this. And now we're using roasted maple necks now. This is the original neck on this guitar, but it's a Carina body, and it is chambered differently than anything else like it. It's chambered around the neck joint so that it's really resonant, so that the neck vibrates freely when you play the guitar, but it's completely solid all around the bridge so that you get, and especially with the two pickup, the more traditional version of this guitar, you get that initial attack and the twang factor, the initial attack and sustain that these guitars are known for. And so he really did something different with it, and now we have this really cool Carina-bodied T-style guitar. And then, of course, this blossomed into what we do with Greg.
Yeah.
And then the one this year that threw everybody for a loop was the Gil Paris guitar that you see over your shoulder over there, the S style, as it were.
Yeah, I spotted that.
There's a player out in New York City named Gil Paris who's this like jazz player, and he is a monster. And he has been playing our guitars for 24 years. And it really is a nice guitar, and the Wilkinson trem and the locking tuners, and it's all there, you know. And so I kept the prototype.
So is this something that's in production now?
Oh yeah, it's been out.
Yeah.
Geez, when did that come out? A year ago?
Yeah.
It is something that's available right now.
Yeah.
It is funny, but
I just didn't know
it
if it
happened.
was a limited run or if it was something that was going to stick around.
No,
It's cool.
we're doing it.
Yeah,
we are
excellent.
doing it. I think it's
Excellent.
cool.
Yeah,
We're only
super
doing it in the black at the moment.
And
but
this one, if I took one home, I don't know. This is to me, this is so drop dead gorgeous. My
you.
goodness.
So
that's new.
that is yeah. You can grab it. That's fine. That is the second.
And that's ebony.
Greg Koch model.
Yep.
So that's the Gristle 90, and it is a set neck 24 3/4 scale guitar with the ebony board and the Fishman Fluence.
G scale, huh?
Yes, G scale. And this is the great story behind this guitar is Fishman wanted to do P90s, and Greg loved Naylor's P90s. He just loved, he's got multiple guitars, and of course he's played hundreds of them at Wildwood over the years. And so we ended up, Naylor and myself and Greg all went to Boston to Fishman and voiced those pickups together. And so the prototype of this model was made with the Reverend 985 in it. And so we had prototypes with our pickups there, and then we had what what Fishman, we had the prototype Fishman pickup hooked up to a laptop, and you actually EQ the pickup in real time. Because all the EQ stuff is done in their preamp circuit. It is a really, really cool system.
Wow.
And so we sat there with Joe and Greg listening to the guitar with our pickups in it, and then tweaking and sort of dialing it in. It was very, very cool until we came up with something that, that Joe and Greg thought was the right sound for the guitar. And so that was sort of how the Fishman Gristle 90s came about. And
very cool.
Yeah, and this guitar launched this year, and to a lot of fanfare, and yes, it's one of those things we're just back ordered on it forever.
This is in the 18 range, 18.9?
It is.
Street price?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is
thank
telly
you.
thickness here.
Yes.
A little bit recessed thinner.
That is correct.
Right?
Yep.
And chamber. This one's also chambered, like you said.
It is strategically.
And this
yes.
is different too, where it's the set neck.
The set neck.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So that's not chambered around the neck joint like the bolt-on East Siders are.
Sure.
Yep.
Wouldn't quite have the stability, I would assume.
No.
There. That's gorgeous.
I want to talk about a couple of the things that I consider to be standouts. This is an Airwave, and this guitar is special in a lot of ways. When Joe sets out to design a guitar, he sort of throws away all the preconceived notions. And the Airwave is a really good example of this. We work with a band called the Decemberists, really, really good friends of ours. And Chris Funk, the guitar player of the Decemberists, has been using Manta Ray 290 6-string, and he had a Club King 290, and he heard about our P90 pickups and is a huge fan of the Stooges and Ron Ashton, and so he called us and got a couple guitars from us years ago. Great. And he was so impressed with how well they performed on tour and how well they stayed in tune that he made this off-cuff remark to me and Joe years ago at a show that if we made a 12-string, that it would replace his 12-string and he would tour with it all the time. And I said to Joe, we really got to do this. And Joe's like, I don't want to make it 12 string and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, let's put a 12 string neck on the Club King and see how it goes. And so that's how we got like a Warmoth 12 string neck and put it on one of our Club King guitars. And we got it to Chris, and Chris liked it well enough. And then Joe started playing around with it, and then the wheels started turning.
You lit the spark.
And right, yeah, we completely. And then then Joe then set out to correct what was wrong with 12 strings. And what he discovered was that in the history of 12 string manufacturing, people just take a guitar that sounds good as a 6 string and add 6 more strings to it and go, here you go. Yeah. And Joe set out to design this as a 12 string from the get-go. So it's got some unusual features. First off, this is a 5-piece Carina and walnut neck, and it is 5-piece. I wish I had the natural version here because it's laminated lengthwise so that there's plenty of strength at where the headstock turns, so that we don't have to worry about having a volute or anything of that nature. And then the upper horn is extended so that it doesn't neck dive. So I'm holding it by the strap button, right? So that it balances well on you and doesn't do this. There are 12 locking tuners, and this is a bonite nut, which is a synthetic bone. And yes, to everybody out there who gets snarky with me on the internet about this, yeah, it's plastic, but it is a self-lubricating plastic. And it's a special product that gives you the lubrication and the sound of like a bone nut without wearing down really fast like bone nuts do. So, and then I found this really cool bridge on a early 90s Ibanez RG.
Nice.
And the thing that's special about this bridge is 6 of the strings top load and 6 of the strings go through the body, and there is an individual saddle for all 12 strings. So you can intonate this guitar properly without anything really funky. And then between the bonite nut and the locking tuners, not only can you get it to play in tune, but then it stays in tune. And the nut width is of a classical guitar ilk, like 1 3/4 inch.
That to me is what I always would want to see.
And then all the Reverends have master tone and bass contour control. So if this thing is getting a little boomy for you, you can roll out the bass. Or on this, it's like the magic Ricky knob. Really want it to sound thin? Roll the bass contour up. With the P90s and on the bridge pickup with all the controls all the way up, you get into more of that real chimey birds type tone.
Yeah.
And all that. This guitar has been consistently in our top 5 since we launched it, because we're addressing something that our competition hasn't really addressed. And because I typically 12-string electrics are $600 guitars that you can't keep in tune, or they're $3,500 guitars that you can't keep in tune.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And then we've come up with this thing in our price point that works and checks all the boxes. So it's one of the most, I think it's one of the most unique and special pieces in the line.
Wow.
And along those lines, we'll also get into this bad boy here. This is our Descent baritone. And this is kind of the opposite of the 12-string. This is the one Naylor dragged me into. Dude, we got to do a baritone. Oh, do we really? Yeah, I've got this idea. And so again, Joe sat down to design this as a baritone from the beginning. And the concept was to have a baritone guitar that plays like a regular guitar, not to just put a longer neck on it and say, here you go, so that when a guitar player sits down with it, they feel like they're doing this. This is a 26 3/4 scale, which is an unusual scale. We moved the bridge back into the body from its usual location on our sort of king bolt body style, as we refer to this one, or our modern shape, modern double cutaway, whatever it would be. It's a little more angular than our, Jetstream body.
Sure.
But we ship these tuned B to B with a custom string set that we have made by SIT in Akron, Ohio, which includes a plain 26 on the D string or the 3rd string, what would be the G string on a regular 6-string guitar, but here. And It has sort of an interesting tonality because it's a different kind of thing. But again, the idea is a guitar player sits down with this and doesn't have that wound third, so he can play it like a regular 6-string guitar. It feels normal. You're just in B. The trem is a Wilkinson VS50, and it stays in tune, and you can roll off that, put it on the bridge pickup and roll off that bass contour to do the spaghetti western thing if you want.
That is so cool.
And so these are Railhammer Nuevo 90 pickups, and we got into the Railhammer thing a little bit out in the shop, looking at some of the other guitars that we demo the Railhammers with. But what makes them so special, of course, in the baritone is because you are taking this thin slice of the magnetic field that's being created by the string, it allows this noiseless pickup to not be mushy. So even on the neck pickup with all the controls on, it's still defined. And on the neck pickup, you can play metal. Let's go with the super badass. And everything in between. Little crunch.
That is so cool. Can I try that one? For
Yeah,
a
of
second?
course.
That's calling my name right now, man. That's
Yeah, man.
cool. Let's see if I gotta. Sure, I'll borrow that if that's right. So it's the experience of a regular guitar, just baritone, basically.
Yep.
That is so cool. So cool, I love it.
Yeah, man.
I like the feel of it.
Why don't you grab that black Gristle 90 over there?
Sure.
Here, LG, you want to throw that on the... Oh, just right there's fine.
Typical guitar fashion, I almost put that pick in my pocket and stole it. So.
Oh, there's plenty more where that came from. Feel free. I don't demo Greg's guitars in here very often because Greg demos Greg guitars constantly online, and I can't play anywhere near as good as Greg does. And so I'm always, every time somebody's like, play Greg's guitar, I'm like, it's so embarrassing. So clear. What's going on in here, LG? Remember? Oh, somebody was metal riffing.
That's not you.
They sound great.
Oh, it's such a good sound.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Because there's so much you can do with it. You know what I mean? It has all the clarity. We do a special Bigsby setup too. So years ago, when we were working on the Reeves Gabrels Space Hawk guitar, we've been doing signature models with Reeves for years. As a matter of fact, grab that gray bad boy in the back corner there. We'll show you something else that's coming soon. We did a guitar for Reeves that was really focused around his trem use. And when he got the gig playing lead guitar for The Cure, he and Naylor sat down and developed the Space Hawk guitar. And he wanted the Space Hawk to have a Bigsby. And Reeves had these Triumph motorcycle clutch springs that he always put in his Bigsby's because they had this like sort of really loose, jangly feel.
Okay.
And he could get that flutter thing. And my little, I don't know what's going on with my Angry Charlie, but I think I need to get some new patch cords in there or something. But he's a flutter guy. And he liked the idea of a Bigsby being able to do like the flutter thing and then just for it to have a smoother action and not be so stiff. And so we took that spring of Reeves's and we found a spring company in Jersey that could sort of match the tensile strength to that and size it perfectly. And so we put that soft touch spring on all of our Bigsby equipped guitars, including Greg's. And then we ship the original spring with the instruments, of course, as they go out. But here, you want to plug this in? I know you were looking.
Oh yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, I am sitting in the pedal activation zone. So if you want me to, here, you go ahead. Let me know if you want. I have all kinds of crazy stuff over here. That's Earthquaker Plumes. That sounds really good with that guitar.
Oh, I love that. Oh, very cool. And the neck pickup in I saw some of.
Yeah. There's this little button here too that activates a different voicing for both of the pickups. It just gives it a little push. It's not really a gain boost. It more changes the EQ curve. Oh yeah, Plumes is coming back on for that.
This is such a comfortable guitar. It's easy to play. The sounds are fantastic. Oh my goodness.
And that is just run straight into the car.
What a joy to play. I might have to add one of these to my collection one day. Thank you.
Oh yeah, man.
What a great guitar.
This is the Reeves Gabrels Dirtbike Royale. And we have been making a model with Reeves called the Dirtbike for the last 5 or 6 years, which is a single Railhammer Wilkinson 24 3/4 scale guitar on our Sensei platform that Reeves really liked. And he had this idea of doing a wraparound tailpiece version with 2 P90s. And this is a Wilkinson bridge that we found where you can adjust the intonation of the B and the G strings so that it intonates well on the wraparound. And then these are Mojitone. This is a hot, quiet P90, and this is the regular quiet P90. And they're wound a little bit different, but they're noiseless and they sound killer. You're gonna want to. I'm bringing it up again a little bit for when you guys are putting this together in post. Just so you're like, wow, I have 3 different volumes on this amp feed. What's his problem? This thing does the high gain fabulously. Now, the cool thing about it is it still has that mid-range punch, and I find that most noiseless P90s just sound like humbuckers. And interestingly, both Fishman and Mojo have done a really good job at making noiseless P90s that still have that mid-range attack and still sound like single coils, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with noiseless P90s that sound like humbuckers. I'm a humbucker guy, I mean, I get it. But it's a special thing, and that's that bridge pickup, and this is both. And the neck. And again, you could just put copious amounts of gain. This is a Boss Turbo distortion with the turbo on. And if you can hear that mid-range thing come through.
Oh, That guitar is super up my alley. The way it's voiced and the sound. You said those are Mojitone?
Yeah, Mojitone. Yeah, this is the bridge is the hot quiet P90, and then this is the regular quiet P90, and it still balances really, really well. I love this gloss.
It's beautiful.
It's called Feline Gray.
This is new?
This is brand new.
Brand spanking new.
Yes, we've been doing this in what we're calling Royale Red.
Yeah.
We launched it at the NAMM show that you guys were at.
Yeah.
And then the gray version is not shipping to dealers yet, but it will be hopefully shortly. Because I spilled the beans and I had this on my live cast last week, and so I've been getting a lot of questions about the color. It really came out.
What was it?
Beautifully. Feline Gray.
Feline Gray.
It's a little reference to the Cure's Love Cats, I believe is where.
That is super
Reeves,
cool.
yeah, put that out there. Always something going on around here.
Can I get that? Can I try that high gain thing?
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Actually, I love the way the clean sound on this too is fantastic.
Check this out. Check out the fuzz thing. You know how fuzz pedals sound great with single coils, and maybe with humbuckers sometimes fuzz pedals get a little mushy or whatever. This is really cool. This is a Wonder Pedals Red Rider, and the fuzz thing with these Mojitone pickups is wicked. See?
This is a great guitar. Yeah. This is kind of taking it home for me. This is another one, man. This is fantastic. This is a fantastic guitar.
Get a shot of the cool pedal. This Red Rider is that fuzz pedal we were talking about.
That's great.
They're up in Michigan. Wonder, they're probably worth you guys checking out too. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they're good friends. More people that we work with consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Nick Diener from Wonder Pedals was the guitar player and singer frontman for the band The Swellers.
Okay.
And then he's gone on to do like a bunch of interesting stuff, but we get his pedals coming through here every once in a while, and that one goes nowhere. That pedal sounds wicked. You know what? Here, I'll wrap up with this. Well, you can
Sure.
put that right up here if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
This is our, you know, I probably haven't played this in a minute, so I should probably tune it up too. It's pretty good though. There's nothing like grabbing a guitar off the wall that hasn't been played in a couple months and it's in tune.
Yeah.
So these are Reverend's HA5 pickups, and so this is Naylor's. We did ceramic humbuckers for 22 years. And Joe succumbed to the pressure of having to have Alnico pickups because everybody says they sound better.
Oh.
And it took Joe a long time to develop Alnico pickups that sounded as good as our ceramic pickups so that people could say that they were Alnico and you know, do the, you right? That's how it works. You know, it's funny in this business, a lot of people listen with their eyes instead of with their ears. And people think like certain, well, I have to have a guitar that has this specification, you know what I mean? And that was one of the things, and they sound killer, which is awesome. So that also inspired Joe to like do a traditional set neck maple top and carved maple top, which is something that we hadn't done in the Reverend line until January of 2020. So, right? Is it January 2020? Yes. And so this is our Roundhouse. We did a Roundhouse model in the mid-2000s. That was a flat top version, and Joe sort of redesigned it, gave it an offset waist, and did it in a sexy way that it still looks like a Reverend but doesn't look weird. You know, I think that's one of the key points of Joe's design ethic, is that he can sort of make a guitar that looks reminiscent of something but isn't a copy of it, but isn't weird to the point where you look at it and you go, I don't know, I don't like that. I mean, there's like a weird like taste thing that Naylor really has defined, and I think
taste is the key word. That's exactly what it is. It's without trying to make basically a novelty guitar that's out there. It's not that at all. It's really its own character that.
And we do this in some more subdued colors, but purple guitars have been hot.
Yeah.
They really have been. The last,
You're not
like,
the first
the last
person to
couple
say that.
years.
Who else said that?
We really do a lot of stuff with purple guitars. And so this is a traditional, it's a traditional switching system. We don't put coil taps in any of our guitars right out of the gate, because we have this bass contour control and everything. So you can have a humbucker guitar, and I'm on the neck pickup of this, and just hear what happens as I roll out the bass. It's still humbucking, so you put on the distortion pedal and it doesn't all of a sudden go to crazy 60 cycle hum. You're still humbucking because both coils are on, but we've just sort of changed the EQ curve of the individual pickup itself by rolling out the bass. And it makes for a really versatile guitar, and you can roll out the bass with both pickups on and get real jangly stuff on a guitar that you wouldn't associate with jangly stuff, you know? And then whirl it in, and there's that warmth. That's what you're, that's the tone that you think of.
What a great feature,
And then when you put the gain on this, it does that whole singy sustain thing, which you think of with a Toadwood Monster. So this is Carina body, Carina neck, and maple top. So with a Powell Ferro fingerboard.
It's got that carved maple top on there.
Roundhouse HBFM. Here you go, sir.
And that is the first that you've done the carved tops?
It
2020?
is. Yep.
Wow.
And then check out how light that is. That's probably 7 pounds, 12 ounces, somewhere in there.
It's that Carina, right?
Yeah.
Is it chamber?
Carina? No.
At all? No.
That's solid
it's
guitar.
solid. It's solid.
You want that on?
All right, no, leave it. Why not? That's awesome. That's Ah, yeah, red.
Awesome.
So
Cool
cool.
riffage, man.
Oh, thank you. It's great.
The metal days.
The metal days. You don't have to look back on the metal days. All days are metal days.
Hey, I'm all
Look back on
about.
our metal days.
Nice.
Fantastic. Well, are there any other guitars that you'd like to feature or show us?
You know what? You're welcome. If there's anything else you want to check out, just let me know, and I'm happy to do anything you want. We got a handful of things on there, so I like guitars.
I mean, we could do this all day. You know, that's at a certain point we have to leave you alone. Well, Ken, I want to thank you so much for showing us.
And I'd like to,
amazing
thank
collection.
you for coming, man.
Yeah.
It was fun to have you guys. It was nice to meet you at the NAMM show, and it was fun to have you out here. We haven't had visitors in so long, right? Proper visitors. It's been a minute. Yeah.
Well, we always love a good guitar hang, and for this reason, to be hitting the road and coming out here to Toledo, Ohio, to Reverend Guitars with Ken Haas and his lovely wife, Penny. Thank you so much for everything that you've done today. Thanks for showing us around. And for Play and Trade Guitars, I'm John. That's Zach behind the camera. Here with Ken Haas from Reverend Guitars. Thank you so much for the opportunity to check this out and check out a Reverend guitar. You will not be disappointed. We love these, and so will you. Thanks for watching.